The power died the very moment Karen jammed her phone charger into my garage outlet. I'm not talking about a normal flicker. You ever hear a blender choke on a spoon? It was like that, only louder. With a side of smoke and a shriek from Karen that could have cleared a flock of crows from 3 counties over. Meanwhile, my coffee machine sputtered, quit mid-brew, and left me staring at half a cup. Fully awake now for all the wrong reasons. You know those days where you feel in your bones nothing's gonna go right? Yeah, that was one of those days. Now, most folks, if they fried your entire breaker because they couldn't wait to find an outlet, might say sorry or at least look sheepish. Not Karen. She yanked her cord like she'd been betrayed, stormed to my front door, and pounded with both fists, the way a landlord might if you'd set up a petting zoo in your apartment. And she had that HOA badge front and center, like she was about to raid a criminal operation. First thing out of her mouth, accused me of voltage misconduct and tampering with the community power grid. I don't think that's even a real phrase, but the way she spat it out, you'd swear she was the DA and I was about to do time. I tried to keep it civil, but sarcasm is basically my main food group, so I asked why she was leeching my garage power in the first place. She acted like I'd insulted her family. Tree told me every outdoor outlet on this street was HOA property, never mind the fact I pay the electric bill, not her or the HOA. I suggested maybe, just maybe, she could use the outlets in her own house, 3 doors down. She looked at me like I'd told her to wade through snakes barefoot. My outlets are indoor only, she huffed, as if walking inside her own house was beneath her. Right then, I knew what I was dealing with. Karen wasn't just complaining, she was declaring war, and I had zero intention of firing back. I figured I'd let her spin herself dizzy. She demanded I unlock the garage and grant her charging privileges, whatever that means. Then she threatened to fine me, personally, from the HOA treasury. I had to laugh. I mean, I pay dues, but apparently, she thought she could just write herself a check. That just made her madder. She stomped off, promising revenge. That night, sure enough, she taped a 3-page official violation notice to my door, accused me of electrical sabotage and hoarding public power with hostile amperage. It was so loaded with made-up legalese, I almost sent it to a humor magazine. But I held on to it. Because if Karen was this wild over a phone charger, things were about to get a whole lot juicier. By the end of the week, my breaker box was a war zone. The HOA board was dragged into the circus. Karen started ringing my bell at sunrise. Robe, curlers, clipboard, the works, flanked by Jenkins with his scowl and Linda still in her yoga pants. Karen announced an emergency HOA session about electrical delinquency, making it sound like I'd been running a crypto farm out of my garage. She slid a violation notice across the threshold, Comic Sans font, no less, demanding I pay a fine and submit proof of grid compliance. I asked if I should call Elon Musk for a certificate. Linda coughed to hide a laugh. I stalled her, said we'd take it up at the next general meeting, which drove her nuts, because what Karen really wanted was for me to bow, beg, and hand her my dignity on a platter. Instead, I woke up to find neon orange warning stickers on my garage, my mailbox, even my dog's water bowl. I caught her on camera midnight raiding with a flashlight and a roll of stickers. She cursed at my recycling bin when one sticker wouldn't stick, and that alone was worth the price of all the trouble. When I showed Jenkins the video, his face turned the color of skim milk. Turns out, Karen had told the HOA the stickers were an official, board-sanctioned action. Jenkins admitted no such vote happened. He just muttered something about initiative and slunk away. That's when it hit me. Her power wasn't real. It was just noise, intimidation, and hoping nobody called her bluff. So I planned my move. Karen called a mandatory emergency assembly at the clubhouse. Passive-aggressive flyers, bolded words, the works. I showed up with my USB full of video evidence. She took the podium like a dictator, accusing me of endangering the power grid and, my favorite, practicing voltage selfishness. She called for a $500 fine and a public vote. I waited, then strolled up, plugged in my USB, and let the room watch her midnight sticker rampage on the big screen. The room erupted. Laughter, whispers. Jenkins dropped his pen. Linda's jaw hit the table. Karen tried to claim it was a field inspection until the audio played her swearing at my bin. The neighbors started piling on, tulip finds, inflatable decoration bans, years of petty tyranny spilled. Out like soda after a shake. Karen's power? Gone. But she had one more card. Announced she'd called the county inspector to report illegal wiring at my house. For the first time, I saw real confidence in her eyes. When Dennis the inspector showed up, clipboard in hand, Karen posted herself at the end of my driveway in a lawn chair like she was about to judge a cooking contest. She even brought backup. I kept my cool. My dad was an electrician, so I knew my wiring was clean. Dennis went through my garage, nodded at my labels, and muttered it was better than most new builds. Karen barged in, insisted the garage outlet was where the noncompliance lives. Dennis ran every test. Nothing. Karen sputtered, tried to pin her own sparks on my house, but Dennis just looked at her like she was telling ghost stories. But here's where it turned. Dennis went outside, spotted a big orange extension cord trailing from Karen's yard to the community utility box, hidden behind a hedge. He followed it, right into her garage. When he called her on it, she tried to claim she'd authorized it as an HOA backup, but nobody was buying it now. Dennis explained that tampering with the utility box was a serious violation. Suddenly, everyone saw Karen not as the sheriff, but the outlaw. Neighbors started asking if she was why their bills were higher. Did Karen back down? Please. She claimed I'd set her up, that I'd manipulated the inspector, that I was the evil genius behind every flicker of the lights. No one was listening anymore. Dennis wrapped up, cleared me, cited her, and left Karen speechless and red-faced. But the saga didn't end there. That evening, I got an email. Karen was calling for an emergency HOA vote to impeach me from community standing, whatever that meant. Then I found out she'd filed a lawsuit. Yes, a real one, against me for emotional damages caused by electrical hostility. I called a lawyer, Marissa, who specialized in HOA lunacy. She took one look at Karen's lawsuit and said, "Let her talk. She'll sink herself." I handed over all the evidence, from sticker raids to Comic Sans notices to Dennis's report. At the next HOA meeting, Karen strutted in like a TV preacher, called the vote, and launched into a speech about wattage warfare. I didn't bring notes. I just told the room what she'd actually done. Jenkins finally stood up for me. Even Quiet Susan held up the infamous Comic Sans violation and asked why it was official. The room held. Instead of voting me out, the neighbors censured Karen, almost unanimously. In court, Karen showed up with a briefcase of nonsense and a hand-drawn diagram of my evil garage outlet. The judge barely hit his eye roll. Marissa played the video, read the report, and let Karen cross-examine me until she'd tied herself in knots. Judge ruled in my favor, fined Karen for wasting time. I walked out to high fives from neighbors. But Karen, of course, had one last gasp. 3 nights later, I caught her wiring up a generator Frankenstein style in her garage, extension cords snaking everywhere, trying to redistribute energy to the neighborhood. The thing went up in smoke. Literally, sprinklers doused the scene, and the fire department finished the job. That was the final straw. The HOA removed her from the presidency for good. Karen sent one last all-caps email about coup d'etat of wattage and promised vengeance, but nobody listened. Her fines mounted, and not long after, a for sale sign went up. The day she left, the neighborhood felt lighter, like a weight had lifted. I upgraded my breaker with the court-ordered reimbursement, bought myself the fanciest coffee maker on the planet, and sat on my porch, finally able to enjoy the peace. Looking back, all of it started with a phone charger. If Karen had just asked, I probably would have said yes. So, was I the villain? The hero? Or just the unlucky soul caught between a phone charger and a wannabe dictator? That's up to you. Drop your thoughts below. Was I right to fight back? Or should I have just rolled over for the voltage? Queen, let's hear your take. Who's really in the wrong when neighborhood drama turns electric?